diagnosis, well I call it quick anyway, based on some other people's standards. I was diagnosed, it took about 13 months, and that was down to, I knew my GP very, very well. She races motorbikes. So we ruled out depression and stuff like that. And during this 13 months, we had no support whatsoever, no information, no nothing. We just left to our own devices. We didn't know whether to look up Alzheimer's and dementia or not, because we didn't know whether we were going to come to that diagnosis or not. The wife was hoping for a diagnosis of brain tumour, because at least that's operable. But there you go. So the day came to the diagnosis, and we sat down in the office with the consultant and the psychiatrist. My CPN wasn't there, who I'd never even met anyway, because she was away on holiday. They looked at each other, and then they looked at us, and they said, well, sorry to tell you, but you've got mixed dementia, it's vascular and Alzheimer's. So we looked at each other and we actually felt a little relieved because we had a label. We knew that it was coming, so we had this label now. And she said, is there any questions you want to ask? And so we looked at each other, and then there was a knock on the door. And someone popped their head in and said, do you mind hurrying up? There's someone outside getting a bit anxious. They've been waiting, they're overdue. They're waiting. So we left. And that was my support at the time of diagnosis. I was given a welcome pack, which I call my little welcome pack, and it was packed full of lots of information, I assume. But at the time, I had no inclination to even look at it. Our heads were reeling, went to the car park, didn't we? And we had tears, went home, and then Jayne rung all the family up, told the family, and this pack got left on the side, just got left there. Completely forgotten about, especially with my memory. And then Jayne set about getting all the family together, telling them about the diagnosis, and because we didn't know anything, we then arranged this holiday, the last holiday, you know, unknown to us. We got back and we thought, God, we know nothing, and we still haven't seen the CPN. This is 6 weeks on now. So we decided to do a lot of research and realised it wasn't death on diagnosis, you know, obviously. And at the time, we were grieving, and I wasn't even gone. So what's all that about? So we decided to set about doing all this research and educating ourselves, and realised it wasn't death on diagnosis, and that you could live well, that there was a beginning, a middle, before you reach the end. You know, and people don't realise this, people who don't know anything about dementia, you just get this picture in your head, and it sticks with you. So we educated ourselves, and then we thought, well, how many other people don't know anything about dementia? So we spoke to friends, and they didn't know anything. So I decided, well, we both decided, to be quite upfront and set about educating people, going on a little crusade of our own. So I decided to start this off by putting a status on Facebook all about my diagnosis. And I did put at the bottom, this isn't for sympathy, I don't want any comments, and only 2 people commented, and I deleted their comments. It was just to educate people and get the word out there. It was actually a quick way of telling all my friends. I met up with some close friends, and it was Christmas time, and I explained to them that I have no problems if any of them can't face this journey with me, that they don't have to stick at it, and quite a few left, which I was quite surprised at. We can't blame the illness on losing all the friends, because it's also out of sight, out of mind. I don't move in them circles anymore with the bikes, because I don't ride my bikes anymore. Well, I haven't got a licence. That went 2 years ago. So it's also out of sight, out of mind. We can be too quick to blame ourselves and things like that sometimes. So then I got onto social media with the help of my youngest, my 16-year-old, and I absolutely wiped out Facebook, and I got involved in all groups. I got banned off a few for speaking my mind, believe it or not. I got banned off the biggest group in the country, in the world actually, which is memory people. I was banned off that group for speaking my mind and not agreeing with some of the caregivers. I'm now on the board of directors for Dementia Alliance International, an international group formed by people with dementia, for people with dementia, and we're going about setting up funds, trying to set up guidelines for the media, the same as what Deep are doing in the UK really. And then Through another group that I've got involved with, dementiamentors.com, I now help to host an online memory cafe. We now have 3 a week now, and we're talking about a 4th one, and doing another one for families as well. So that's another little success story, and it's just getting stuff out there. I do the Dementia Friends sessions. I went to the first one because it was in England. They weren't holding them in Wales at the time, so I fiddled my postcode. Went on to Warrington, and I went there to pick holes in it. And it's actually a great little information session for people that don't know anything. 45 minutes, that's all it takes. And they know a lot more than they did yesterday. So we set about doing that now. And I love that. We do it together in case I forget. And then Jayne can jump in quite quickly. And she does the bookcaseology, because that's far too complex for me. So as a team, we do all this. And we were always a team, and we're still a team. Jayne is, yes, she's my carer, I suppose. But firstly and foremostly, she's my wife. I've always cared for her, and she cares for me, and that hasn't changed. You know, it doesn't change at all. There's a big hole in the system, and that's mainly the children fall through. My 16-year-old babysits me, and there's not a lot of support out there. She's in the process of setting up her own Facebook support group. So this is what stuff can get involved and do. We've now had mum moving, Jayne's mother, with probable Alzheimer's. That's a diagnosis because it's only based on her age, and how probable can you be, I suppose? I don't know. And that's another of my bugbears, is this 65 rule. What's all that about? Someone with cancer, doesn't matter what age they are, they've got access to all the services equally. So what's this 65 rule? It goes back to the 40s, geriatric care. That shouldn't happen anymore. And being a Mr. Fixer, and I've always been a practical guy, I wanted to be quite good with this illness. I've strove to step forward, look forward, never look back. And that's been my little mantra all the way through. It's one of the things I read about. I read a lot about it. There's a lot of guilt that people have when they make this promise about, I will always look after you, whether it be the wife, the husband, the children even. Because don't forget, we have children with dementia as well. Or your parents. And there always comes a day, usually, where you have to put them into the best place for care. So you can't always keep that promise. And people live with guilt. So I decided, reading this, I read this thing about guilt a lot, that I would actually take that into my family's hands. So we spent quite a few months looking for a care home. Trying to find one with Wi-Fi, unbelievable. We were actually told at one place, well, there is a code. Give it me, it's not rocket science. So anyway, so I now visit that home. It's a very plush, lovely home. I've stayed in worse hotels. I wouldn't like to actually live there. Now I've visited there quite a few weeks. It's a beautiful place, very modern. And it's what I like at the moment, because I have to go there and turn off. I'm not on duty anymore. I can actually turn off, because at home I'm on duty all the time. And it's great for that, but to actually live there, it's immaculate. They're not allowed to make a mess. They're not allowed to enjoy themselves. They're not allowed to live. They're not allowed to do anything that involves risk. You need risk to live well. You really do. Now, I wrote a few things down here that I think that everyone should be. This is what Carer's Call to Action is for me. Post-diagnostic support from day one. As soon as you get a query at your GP and you start down that route, you need support straight away for you and your family. It should be well signposted. We found out there's a lot of services out there, a lot, but you have to find them. How do you know they're there unless you get referred or told about them? And it's very difficult to find these services, but there are a lot out there. It should be offered. You shouldn't have to ask. You should be offered these services. Dementia advisor. What a lovely idea. The Alzheimer's Society do it. We were assigned a lovely girl, but she was actually assigned to my wife, not to us. There should be one person to cope with all the family. It has to be flexible. What's right for one person isn't right for another. It has to be flexible. It has to be tailored to fit you and your family. And as I said before, children and young carers especially. You have to watch them at school. You have to really keep your eyes on behaviour problems and all sorts. And it gets unnoticed. You have to be informed at every step. So this is what Callers Care to Action is all about for me, bringing these services and supports together and making sure it's put into practice that care and support shouldn't be a postcode lottery. Thank you.